in general.
In your opinion, that there should be, the only way to combat this is Palestine's form of APEC.
No, I think that the American people in general need to speak up in some way if we are to counter the single-sidedness of who we support.
They call it the unilateral support of Israel.
You know, who funds Hamas and who didn't fund Hamas that question should be answered after we first say, why is Hamas the go-to? Why is it
to vote in? Well, yeah,
why is it that they cannot rely on the Palestinian PLO, the Palestinian of allegedly the "you are responsible" team to actually do the governance because they've been handicapped by the international community.
So when there is a more aggressive alternative, that's who they would go for. But
it's the only alternative.
Yes,
it's not like they have. It's not like they have.
Yeah.
This isn't Democrat versus Republican. This is
existence of your country versus non-existence.
This would be basically like Washington, D.C. If again, back to our Estados Unidos metaphor, right? Europe gets together and says, hey, we're sending Spain over to what used to be Southwest United States territory. Spain is going to occupy it. You can just deal with it, United States, right? You can be governed by the libertarians.
Yeah.
And we'd be going, but they don't have any real clout. I don't have any real power.
Any third party would lose. Yeah, no,
we'd go to the more extreme measures, and
the terrorists,
those that we were warned against by one story that I was told, or that I experienced third hand, that sort of made it really clear to me, even for those who are ethnically Arab, trying to live in peace on land that was given to Israel in 1948, that was olive groves for them. I think back to my own family. My great grandfather was given land after the Civil War service in Nebraska, and that's why we homesteaded there. And that we're tied to that land. My dad he gave everything he could to be on that land farming. And that's the mentality.
You've inherited that land for a very long time.
Right. 2 or 3 generations is all. We're talking over there hundreds of years and generations of generations, right? There was 20%, according to the census in 1930s, the UN census of the area before Israel was created in 1948. They relied on census numbers from the 30s. 20% Jews, 80% Arabs, mix of Muslim Christian, but they only count Muslims because they didn't realize that Orthodox Christianity, wasn't recognized quite as vividly, right?
Oh God, that's crazy.
Unfortunately, shocking.
Yes.
So 20% native Jewish people, and they lived in relative peace until 1948, when the Eastern European Jewish line was essentially expelled. In one of the, I don't know if it's a direct quote, but the Palestine mandate that Britain had expired, and 11 minutes later, Truman had pushed for Israel, right? We had 11 minutes from one to the other. The thought in Europe was it's so much easier to expel these people if we give them somewhere they want to go.
Because all the other countries in Europe at the time of World War II, none of them would take in Israelis. I was listening to the Daryl Cooper podcast on this, and he talks about how Britain wouldn't take anybody in, the United States wouldn't take anybody in. FDR specifically said no, and I'm not trying to. All right, so the Nazis would even help give the Jews that were being expelled credit with their own assets, or some form of we will give you your possessions if you would leave their country. And I'm not justifying that at all, but there was an effort of negotiation of hey, those countries that were expelling them unjustly, they were doing that, and the no country that was on the Allied powers in World War II would take them in. The only alternative at that moment was Palestine for any of them. There was like I think no country that would take them in. So you had massive amounts of immigrants coming in, and then those immigrants coming in would hold rallies and marches and say, "This is our land now. We finally have reunited with this land." Even though you could make the argument that most of them are native to, Eastern Europe through conversion, that's a whole nother discussion. But there was no other option, really, for any of them.
I believe it. So in that becomes apartheid. Okay?
Decolonization.
Right. So when you read, like I had read the National Review, conservative magazine, right? And he's discussing Iran's perspective. This is in the lead up. This is last month's issue. All right. So Iran against the West. Israel understands the enemy it faces. Do the rest of us.
God, yeah.
October 7th, as horrific as it was, is the excuse they've used. But the discussion of this, going back into this, today the government most responsible for spreading the accusation that Israel is expansionist and colonialist is the revolutionary Islamic government in Iran, which has spent recent years assiduously expanding its colonies. What has Gaza become but a colony of Iran?
Oh God! Are you fucking kidding me?
So this is Douglas Murray in the National Review.
That's actually Douglas Murray that wrote that.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
That's Douglas Murray, National Review.
He's insufferable. I know. We had another buddy on talk about the woke right, and there's like a division of the right that is like sort of disaffected Democrats that are now on the right, but use their like opinions they formerly had as like sort of right neoliberals in the new Republican Party to kind of have opinions. And that's like, I see that a lot in Chris Cuomo. Like a lot of the stuff he talks about is just, he's just completely insufferable with a lot of his like takes on foreign policy, or he can't own up to the fact that like there's this thing where like if you're like a commentator, you try to be hip and banned, but really you're not. Like he's like, I used to be on all these big famous news sites, and now I'm pushing against the narrative. It's like, didn't you just like try to promote vaccines when you were on this other website? Like Dave Smith was grilling him. Like, I just so much journalists that I just hate. That's why I'm a podcaster, because I'm just talking with people. I'm not trying to like explicitly state shit. I'm just talking. We're just having a talk.
You're not going after those sponsors?
I do want.
You got to go after those sponsors.
We need the Viagra sponsor,
right?